The EOS Mainnet screeches to a halt just 2 days after activation. Ethereum's Casper and sharding upgrades are to be combined into the same release. WaltonChain signs an agreement with the Korea Standards Association. Stellar Lumens get approved for trading in New York. Warren Buffett makes a rare move, and it might signal a future boom for cryptocurrency. TE Food announces masternodes. The Bitcoin ledger helps track down one of the internet's most infamous drug dealers. And selling crypto now could be analogous to selling Apple stock in 2001. We've got all your headlines mixed with some daily market analysis. I'm Elio Trades, and your FUD TV Daily Update starts now. Welcome back, FUD Nation. Now, we know it's been a long, hard road over the last few weeks and months, particularly over the last few weeks, as we've seen the June sort of reversal not be as promising as we had all hoped it might be. In fact, we're looking at yet another sort of sideways, boring, bearish day. So without harping too much on this sort of chart analysis, let's hop over to some news, because there are some interesting pieces of news to cover, and we'd rather focus on the actual productivity of the industry, not this speculative price game that's been going on, which, of course, we're hearing about all different kinds of ways that the price is being pushed and pulled, having not a lot to do with the actual technology, the actual value of the infrastructure. So let's hop over to some news right now. Let's talk about some things that are actually pretty exciting. Ethereum's Vitalik Buterin has announced that sharding and Casper proof of stake are both going to be combined into the same mega release for Ethereum. This is going to really be a huge infrastructure upgrade, not only as it pertains to speed and scalability, but they're phasing out a little bit of their proof of work. They're adding proof of stake. This is just a completely new Ethereum, essentially, that we're going to see, not just a V2 or a V3. This is going to be like a huge step up, a huge leap forward in our infrastructure, and boy is it needed. Boy is it coming at the right time. There's not a due date out on this. Hopefully it comes out at some point in 2018, but knowing Vitalik, he's not going to put it out until it's ready. This isn't a joke. This isn't a game. When Ethereum makes an upgrade, this has to be stable, sound, and able to hold the weight of the world, because that's what really Vitalik and Ethereum are looking to do. And to be honest, if Ethereum can really upgrade their infrastructure and usability, it'll probably continue to hold that number 2 and maybe even at some point a number 1 spot. So very interesting stuff for Ethereum, and very, very promising bullish news if you're part of the ETH fam, as I most certainly am. And the EOS Mainnet screeched to a halt yesterday as there was an error in some block production. There are a few different explanations as to what could have happened, ranging from a DDoS attack to even a bug that could have been discovered. However, regardless, we can see here that we are cranking along. The blocks are being produced here on EOSnetworkmonitor.io. Looks like everything is all right. There's not a lot of talk of anything going wrong right now. I checked the telegrams and the Reddits, and it seems like everything's going all right. So they got it worked out. Obviously, it caused a little bit of a dump in the price yesterday from about $11 or $10.80 down to about $10.20, $10.30. It was not actually as bad as I thought it would be, given that this was seeming to be a pretty large bug in the system, or somewhat of a network error. Regardless, if you're worried about what the status of the EOS network is, it seems to be fine right now. Everything seems to be working. Blocks are producing. This is the current time here on the West Coast. So although this was a little bit of a scary moment, it is to be expected with new infrastructure. There's always going to be some bugs, and this is just how software is. And I don't think I've ever seen anything come out, even from the best developers, that didn't have some bugs in it. I mean, look at every Apple release. Look at every release from every major developer in the world. There's always some issues, some bugs. And so looks like EOS is back up and running. Things are looking good. So if you're worried about that, I think we're okay now. And hopefully this is just a sign that the EOS community and development world is able to handle these kinds of speed bumps and hiccups. And that, to me, is actually a really good thing. More bullish news out of Walton and their agreements with South Korea. They just forged an agreement with the Korea Standards Association. This is good news. It just shows that their blockchain institute down there is going to be making moves. They really want to establish their presence in South Korea, and that's for good reason. We all know about the kimchi premium on cryptocurrencies, and we just know how much of a hotbed it is for cryptocurrency activity in general. So it's a great move by Walton, and again, keep your eyes on the WaltonChain, because this is one of my favorite projects. I think they're going to do amazing things throughout the next few years. And do you recognize this whale? That's right, you should, because this is OceanX, which is going to be teaming up with VeChain. And of course, this is going to be one of their digital asset sort of trends. It's going to be essentially an exchange, very, very big time exchange that they're going to use to do all kinds of digital asset transfers. For the sake of clarity, OceanX is a proprietary cryptocurrency exchange and asset management platform launched by BitOcean, global, that will serve as an exchange, trading platform, and asset management platform within the VeChain Thor ecosystem. And of course, they're using a lot of AI, which is going to be common on many other platforms. So I think we just got to be careful as classifying things as AI projects when really AI is going to be assisting on most projects going forward, in my humble opinion. Also, what I wanted to touch on here is that Xiaoning Nan, or Nanning, I hope I said that right, is the CEO of OceanX, and it's not for no reason here that they're teaming up with OceanX. According to Sunny Liu, Nanning's influential in more ways than I will divulge, and likely you will get him to. When I first met Nanning, he was wrapped up in his first blockchain startup, the first franchise mining facilities in China. He was a celebrity within the scene and people flocked to him. I'm not gonna read this whole article, but just understand this guy, the CEO of BitOcean that they're teaming up with to be really their trading hub here on VeChain as I'm reading this, is a very influential figure, a prior celebrity in the scene, and there's gotta be a little bit of an alliance that they're trying to form here. The whole project of VeChain is so strategic, and I think that this is yet another strategic move from them. Wherever you might think there is a weakness in VeChain's armor, it seems like they have already patched it and are about 20 steps ahead of us. And Stellar Lumens has just been given the green light to be listed on the ItBit exchange, which is a New York bit licensed exchange, which is of course the holy grail, I guess, if you will, of the, I guess, American licensed exchanges, and that's what Gemini is. That's what we're hearing about a lot of these sort of, when they're fully available for OTC and industrial or institutional money rather. So I think this really opens up the floodgates for Stellar Lumens. It got about a 10% hike in price in following the announcement, and it's just really good news for Stellar Lumens. It shows that it's probably going to be in that safe zone of cryptocurrencies, at least, that are considered sufficiently decentralized, or at least not subscribing to the secure unlicensed securities, a designation that we're sort of fearful that some of these other coins might be classified as. So this is phenomenal news for Stellar Lumens and phenomenal news for the Stellar family. I think it's just bodes well for the cryptocurrency community to see coins like Stellar get that official designation as you can be, licensed and sold on a New York bit licensed exchange, which is a very high bar of scrutiny. Now, before we inevitably start throwing Warren Buffett under the bus for all of the horrible things he said about cryptocurrency, we do know that Warren Buffett has historically been a very, very successful stock investor. The reason why we're bringing him up at all is because he's pulling a move in traditional markets that he rarely, if ever, does. And that is, he's selling his entire position in a very highly performing stock holding in a drywall company. That's right, Warren Buffett bought a drywall holding in the middle of the financial crisis of 2008 that has since done a 7x return. He's taking a ton of money off the table. And right now it's estimated that Berkshire Hathaway, his company, has in excess of $115 billion in liquidity, mostly held in treasury bonds, but he is sitting pretty with a ton of liquidity that he could easily be trading in to buy another holding, but he's not. And I think that that's the critical thing that we should be paying attention to. Warren Buffett right now is stockpiling cash, stockpiling it. And what does that signal to us? To me, that signals that this could be indicative that Warren Buffett sees a potential correction in the market. He sees a potential downturn in the market coming, maybe even a severe one. And that could be reason that he's wanting to stockpile as much currency as he can so that when that correction happens, he can go in and buy up as many companies, as many holdings as he finds fit. Now, while this downturn might be a bit messy for traditional markets, like the housing markets, different stock markets, we know that with uncertainty in those traditional markets has traditionally been a turn towards new markets, or in a lot of cases, cryptocurrency. So while we might be looking at Warren Buffett somewhat signaling a bit of a downturn, maybe even a crash in traditional stock markets or investment markets, we could be looking at a potential for the first real big moment of crisis, which we've talked about. There's a lot of weakness in international markets. There's a lot of weakness in the housing market, student debt markets. We talked about Deutsche Bank and their weakness, Italian sort of weakness in their market based on a lot of political uncertainty. There's a lot of reasons why we could draw conclusions why the markets are a little bit weak. However, seeing Warren Buffett stockpile cash, and he didn't make one single huge investment in 2018. He didn't take over any companies in 2017 like he likes to. As he said, his favorite holding period is forever. And so right now, seeing him sell outright a stock that's performing very well to a company, even though they offered him a premium on the stock offering, the reality is this could be signaling some serious downturns that he believes might be coming up, where he believes that $115 billion might be better served to wait a few weeks, maybe even a few months, and wait for this market to really take a downturn so he can swoop up a lot of holdings on a huge discount, as many sharks and real savvy investors tend to do. So with that said, I believe that this might be signaling what we've been talking about, which is some weakness in traditional markets that would lead to, of course, a turn towards cryptocurrency markets as an alternative investment vehicle. We will see. Again, nothing is for sure, nothing is certain, and obviously Warren Buffett's opinion on cryptocurrency is not what we're referring to here. We're just referring to his actions in traditional markets and trying to draw conclusions based on those. So we'll see how this plays out. We'll keep you updated, but that's how I read this news, is that Warren Buffett is looking to take some money off the table and potentially wait for another big discount season in traditional markets, which will hopefully lead more investors to become a little bit less excited about those traditional markets and more excited about new emerging markets like cryptocurrency. And if you guys don't know about TE Food, it's a very cool supply chain cryptocurrency focusing on food traceability. It's of the smaller supply chain cryptocurrencies. It's emerging. They've got a bunch of partnerships though, a cool coin, and I'm definitely looking to pick up some. I don't have some yet, but they just announced masternodes. So I want to get a few more details onto exactly what you need to have a masternode. And of course, TE Food being a cool supply chain cryptocurrency, you guys know how bullish I am on supply chain cryptocurrencies. They're focusing on food traceability. This is their sort of video that I'm playing behind me. And I think it's an interesting project that's worth a look for sure. And the fact that they're adding masternodes makes them all that more exciting because of course the masternodes allow for you to earn more coins with your coins. So of course I'll be looking into picking up enough coins to get a masternode once those details emerge, but it's very exciting. They're a cool project. Check them out. And a recent article in Business Insider likened selling cryptocurrency right now to selling Apple stock in 2001. Of course, 2001 was right after the stock market bubble burst around the tech bubble, the sort of Silicon Valley bubble. And well, you could argue that they had a huge downturn in the market, just like we've had. So it's like selling and getting out right now. We've already experienced what looks like, based on chart analysis, the worst of it, hopefully the worst of it. The markets are pretty dim looking compared to where they were in January. So to sell now just feels a little bit like you're sort of not selling at maybe the worst bottom. Of course, it could go down from here, but it looks like there's been quite a bit of price support throughout the $6,000 to $7,000 range for Bitcoin, and of course around the market, sort of the $250 to $300 billion mark as far as total market cap. It doesn't seem to want to go too much lower than that, and we've tested those lows now a few times. We're going down to test them again right now, but it doesn't seem like we're going down too fast or too hard right now. So it does feel a little bit like we're at the bottom of the crash. And if that is the case, then this analogy that Business Insider has used of selling Apple in 2001 would of course be pretty dead on accurate, because we'd be looking to rebound from that. Obviously, we know that the cycles are slower in traditional markets than they are to crypto. So maybe the last 20 years of Apple's growth would be compacted into 2 or 3 years for the next few years of cryptocurrency. I don't know. That's sort of what it seems like it plays out as, but that's an interesting hot take. I think that the biggest thing that I took away here is that what Apple introduced since 2001 was the biggest use case of their technology that we've ever seen, which is the iPhone. Now, the iPhone I look at as a piece of technology that brought everyone into the internet. Before the iPhone, you didn't need internet everywhere. You just needed it some places. But as soon as you got the iPhone, as soon as you got all your apps downloaded, you realized, oh no, I want the internet everywhere. And despite the fact that the internet had been largely commercial and widely popularized for over a decade before that, it was at that point that the real use case that rocked the world, I would say, came into effect. And that's what we're looking for cryptocurrencies. We have the infrastructure, we've built the blockchain world up, but we don't have those rock star use cases that are really blowing the lid off things and allowing for people to become extremely, extremely inundated with the technology and really dependent on it for their daily activities. That's what we're looking for blockchain. And as Bitcoin and blockchain grow and blossom, there's no limit to the utility really that we could start imbuing them with. When people compare, Bitcoin to gold, in the end, Bitcoin's uses keep getting added to. You can keep making Bitcoin more and more and more and more useful based on new engineering, new dApps, new ecosystems built upon the ledger, upgrades to the scalability. All of these things allow for blockchain and things like Bitcoin to have sort of ever evolving utility, and that utility can continue to bring more value. Of course, the fixed supply as well as Bitcoin, it's an interesting thing to compare Bitcoin and gold as a wealth preservation mechanism. And of course, the more that you dig into Bitcoin, the more that you realize there's sort of a never-ending list of use cases you could start using it for, and using the Bitcoin ledger to build all sorts of interesting things, as we're starting to see a lot of different ecosystems blossom on top of the Bitcoin ledger. So there's a lot to be excited about, and I think this is very much so an analogy that I like for multiple reasons. One, because of the 2018 crash, and two, because of the lack of a real rock star utility product like we saw with the introduction of the iPhone after 2001. And one of the common complaints about Bitcoin is that it fuels this sort of underworld, this drug world, drug trade, and all these other things. But Bitcoin is a publicly visible ledger where the FBI have already designed complex algorithms to track who uses it and for what and when. I don't think that there's a lot of validity to this argument because it's quite clear based on this story that they've been able to catch a drug lord out of France that was operating on the dark web through Bitcoin purchases. We've said this time and time again. This technology is not about anonymity, though there are privacy coins. Bitcoin is not about anonymity. It's not about fueling crime or any kind of negative actors in the space. This is about economic freedom and us being able to control our own finances, decentralization, other things. But in this particular case, they actually found the bad guys. This guy was trafficking all kinds of bad narcotics and probably up to all sorts. Regardless, this is just an example of how Bitcoin can do some good for the justice system instead of being just this big hiccup that makes the, police and law enforcement sort of on their heels and unable to fight the bad guys as the narrative has been presented so many times. And I just like this. I saw this on Reddit a few days and I'm sure you guys have seen it. Other people have put it up on the screen, but if you haven't checked this out, somebody did a nice data mapping of showing how fiat currencies are coming into different cryptocurrencies and then being distributed obviously primarily from Bitcoin through to altcoins, but also coming into Ethereum, EOS, Bitcoin Cash, Cardano, IOTA, Binance Coin, and Huobi token. And then you can see how they filter onto other altcoins as well as down to each other. It's pretty cool. I really like this. I just think it's beautifully done. And, it helps you understand sometimes the flow of the money. And I think understanding how the money flows in and out of the industry is critical to understanding the industry itself. And oh my me, if you guys have not been to doiownashitcoin.com, you guys have to check this out. It's an absolutely hilarious website. You type in here, you can type in any coin you want. Obviously, we'll just type in Bitcoin and you can see, is this a serious question? Bitcoin is king, Bitcoin is gold, Bitcoin is God, word is bond, son. Yeah, I love this. I had some fun with it. I'm not going to say I agree with everything here. Ethereum, praise Lord Vitalik and his creation. Might be a shitcoin one day, but hodl it for now. If you see for the VeChain fans, you chose wisely. For the Walton fans, it's not Bitcoin, but we're hopeful. Interesting stuff. You do not want to, as you type in EOS, it tends to get a little bit more mid-tier shitcoin. Mainnet was delayed due to vulnerabilities. Let's see how they do. I think what's pretty funny is this is quite clearly someone who's deep in the crypto community, and I don't, they're trying to be fair. Give me some Neo, Chinese Ethereum. Why not? Higher tier shitcoin. It's just funny, I don't think all of these that they call shitcoin are shitcoin. They definitely lay into some. I'm not gonna put any on screen that they really lay into, but you guys can go play around with this. DoIOwnAshitcoin.com. Shout it out. And of course, today is Father's Day, so happy Father's Day to all the dads out there watching. My dad watches the show, so thanks, Dad, for everything you've given me, all of the mentorship, advice. I hope I'm making you proud out here. I love you, and I'll pick you up to have a great Father's Day in just a few minutes when I publish this episode. If you guys enjoyed this episode and you're not subscribed, I encourage you, hit that subscribe button, and don't be afraid to hit that bell notification because you'll be made aware whenever we put out new content. I'm Elio Trades, you're watching FUD TV, and I'll see you very, very soon on the next episode.